Welcome to the Streets of Dublin Simon podcast. With me today is Ezinne Nweke, who works in the Dublin Simon Step Up, Step Down service. Absolutely delighted to have you here today.
Thank you very much.
And I'm so interested to hear everything you have to say about the nature of the work that you're doing. So let's kick off, Ezinne. Why don't you just tell me what your role is, how long you've been with Dublin Simon Community?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I work in Step Up, Step Down as a support worker, and I have been working in Step Up, Step Down for a year now, which is funny because it just feels like yesterday. So yeah, and it's been interesting so far, really.
Super.
Yeah.
Can you tell listeners briefly what is Step Up, Step Down? What does it entail?
Okay, so Step Up, Step Down is an intermediate care unit, and it is one of the services under the clinic and therapeutic service that Dublin Simon has. We are kind of a transition unit for people that are coming out of hospital or people in the community that need help. And by help, I mean people that need assistance with diabetes management, people that need help in wound management, people that need assistance with their move on plans, and people that kind of meet our criteria. So it's more like a referral based thing. So people put in referrals either sent by the hospitals or the GP community nurses or other external services, and they bring this referral in to us. They send them via help mail, and we take them in. We kind of have like a referral meeting with the team. So the entire team comes together and we talk about every referral that we get in. So we check or assess this referral and see if this client meets the criteria of Step Up, Step Down. Once we know that this client maybe needs help with wound management, has an ulcer, and needs someone that could assist them to like just to clean it up and to change the wounds and the dressings. And as I said, we have nurses on shift 24 hours in that service. So the nurses also assist these clients. So I know I said support work and I've just been talking the medical part. So where my role works in is I assist the clients in their move on plans. And basically I'd say in the most simplest term, I am a friend to them in sense that we have talks with clients, not the regular like, oh, we're having stern talks or a stern conversation. We basically talk about everything. We have clients that have a series of things that they're going through, and they need someone to listen to them. So we assist them in that way. We help them with their move on plans. We assist them to get accommodations where we can, which is proven to be almost very difficult at this stage. We assist them with different referrals. So we could refer them for counseling, we could refer them for a day program, we could refer them to a treatment service that we know that would be beneficial or tailored to that person's need. So it's kind of we do an all-round situation in the short period of time that that client is with us. So it's very hands-on all 3 weeks, and we all work as a team. We also have the support of our supervisor. So where we can't meet up to maybe what we have to do, our supervisor supports us. And we also support the supervisor, we support the nurses support us. So it's kind of a
Teamwork is
kumbaya. Yeah,
essential.
yeah,
Very
kind
good.
of, yeah.
So, like, what all of these clients have in common is that they are homeless.
Yeah.
So, it goes without saying that a client who is homeless would find it very difficult to manage a condition like diabetes, to manage a wound, to manage an ulcer. And, there might be difficulties managing their own, treatment kind of regimen if they're required to take medication, say 3 times a day, around specific times, after meals, before meals, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, in what way would you say that the clients would find it harder than other people to manage their treatment, to manage their health?
Okay, so I'll use the instance of diabetes because it is insulin. Insulin needs to be in the fridge, and you don't expect someone that's homeless to have a fridge just by the streets, and they need to check their sugar levels. They need to be able to eat. They need to know that probably they don't need to take sweets after a certain period of time. Either they'll go hypo or hyper. And that's kind of the education bits of it. A lot of people don't know all this, and a lot of homeless people don't have the access to this level of education. Most times, I think when someone is diagnosed with a couple of these other like things, say diabetes, in cause I'm talking about that, when someone is diagnosed with that, a couple of times there's little to not much education given to that person. The person is kind of in the blues, just saying, "Oh yeah, I have diabetes," and yeah, I have it. But that educating part of it is kind of very integral for that person to
Mm-hmm.
not get themselves in a situation where they get hurt because they don't take their insulin in time, or they pass out because their sugar level is too low. And considering that there's a whole lot of, would I say, negative impacts from some people as regards to homeless people, it's not the fact that they can't do these things. They didn't choose this type of role. They didn't choose to be homeless. They just need extra support. It's just sometimes it's sad to think of the amount of things that people have to go through because they're kind of looked down on by society.
Mm.
And yeah, it can be very upsetting.
Wow, I can really see how that would be the case.
Yeah.
So, Esne, how common is it that you have clients with dual diagnosis, like they have an illness or a chronic condition, and in addition to that, they might also have mental illness as well. Is that a common observation of yours in your
Yeah,
work?
yeah, very true. We have a good amount of clients that have mental illness. That is one of the biggest um biggest group of people as well in my service. And it's not common. It's almost uncommon for you to not see someone that has maybe has a wound that needs to be managed and probably has maybe a certain mental illness. And that is where the support workers come in. So we kind of listen to them in-depth manner. Like, people throw hints sometimes. Maybe this client is known to eat their dinners, and for some reason they haven't left their room all day. That is very, very, like, it's a red flag, because this is someone that would always come for their meals. But for some reason today, the person doesn't want to come out. And that could be as a result of them being overwhelmed, that, my time in this service is almost over. I might go back to the streets. Having to think about that is enough to overwhelm anyone, and that's sad. We do have a counselor that comes in at least once a week, but we have people that we could ring a free phone for free counseling for the clients. But sometimes, it goes a long way to know that you have hope. And that hope part is almost, it's it's very, very slim most times, and it would affect people's mental health. And that is where depression comes in. Other than that, there's some clients that have the likes of schizophrenic and the rest of it, and they find it awfully hard. As I said, like, they're being looked down on by society most times, not because of the fact that it almost feels like people think that they choose this certain lifestyle, or they choose to have this certain things happen to them. I don't think anyone would choose that. And it's just the extra support that we as staff members have to oblige to know that, this person cannot, so I'm here to support them, to help them see that they can.
So when we talk about move on, which
Yeah.
is like, the other half of the service, I'd imagine there are so many hurdles right now to supporting a client to move on into accommodation or, wherever is deemed to be appropriate for that person. So what's the landscape like right now in terms of the move on part of the process?
It's pretty difficult. As I've mentioned, it's pretty difficult because most of these clients have some certain needs that what we have or what we're being offered is not enough. Say someone needs a room that probably they can't share bathrooms, not because they don't want to share bathroom, but because they have a medical condition and it's best if they have like an ensuite situation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not because we're maybe sounding selfish or we just know that that would be most appropriate for that client. GPs could write off on that, say yes, this person needs this, but you know, I understand the housing issue in Ireland has become almost so tragic for everyone, even both the homeless and anyone as of now. So getting those particular accommodation is kind of is shown or is proven to be difficult. There are some people that need to be in other, maybe they have a family, and they need like a better place, not a shared room with like three, four lads. It's difficult. And that part is just the whole gap for us. I mentioned hope. They need hope. They need to know that someone somewhere is helping them. Someone somewhere is listening to them. Someone somewhere is willing to take a chance on them and give them what might even be considered as not just a temporary home, but something that they could rest. They could know that, it's fine if people outside treat me like I'm nothing, but I'm home. I'm happy. And that's one thing that, we try as much as possible to be able to provide our clients with.
Mm-hmm.
But it's
It's
hard.
tough. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. Well, how about we talk about you for a moment, Ezinne? You have a really interesting story yourself. You've had a very interesting career trajectory.
Yeah.
You set out on one particular path, and then there was a catalyst for change for
Yeah.
you, and all of a sudden, something entirely different began to appeal to you. So let's talk about that for a minute or two, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. I started off, I grew up in a household where my dad was a media personnel. So I thought, media, yes, let's do that. I got my first degree in mass communication and I went on to do my master's in digital media, which was fantastic. Loved every minute of it. And I was working as a digital marketing executive back in Nigeria. And that was before I relocated to Ireland. I did my masters here in Ireland, and I during the COVID, during the lockdown, I was going to the shops, which is just the funniest story. I was going to the shops and I saw this lady, a bit an elderly lady, and she had a boogie, but she couldn't move it. So I assisted her with her pram. Like it was really tough. And from my background in Nigeria, they'll say you don't see your elder ones like doing something and you don't assist them do it. So I was just moved. I'm like, no, yeah, I'll help you out with that. And upon research, I found out that there were people that were helping people that needed extra help, which were healthcare assistants. I'm like, I might as well. I just give this a try, just see what's out there. I'm very, very into my whole media part, but let me give it a try. And I started working as a healthcare assistant during the COVID, and I worked with people that had dementia, Alzheimer's, and lots of other mental health problems. And as much as I don't want to say it was sad because, you're watching someone slowly deteriorate, but I'd say it was one of the happiest hours. I watched people be so happy talking about things that probably happened to them 10, 30 years ago, thinking that it's happening currently. Most clients I'd come into their house and they think that I'm their daughter and they laugh with me. We have breakfast, we go out. And I was so drawn to that. I'm like, it's not bad helping people in that way. And it's something that I want to try out. And I already had my master's in media and I decided to digress. I decided to try something out. And I did a diploma in psychology and I got into the whole thing. And I saw an ad for Simon one day and it was talking about homelessness and drug and addiction. I read a couple of books about it and I watched a couple of movies about addiction and I was very sad because I don't, as much as I know that life can be hard, I don't want to know that people are really going through very, very hard times and understanding how I had seen the way people had spoken down about people that are homeless, people that are addicts and all that. I was drawn. I'm like, let me give this a try. It's okay if it doesn't work and I'll just see what goes on. And I did. I gave it a try and I'm 1 year in and I love it.
You really love it.
I do.
You, we had a conversation earlier, and you talked about being a friend to clients.
Yeah.
And your role is to support them with their move on plan, but also to listen, to show compassion, and to share hope.
Yeah.
Can you talk to me about your experience of doing that, of trying to uplift clients and give them a vision for their future? What's that like? How do you go about doing that?
I wish I had a map on how I start off with the clients and build off to having a certain level of professional relationship with them. But, most clients come in and they've probably had the worst half of the world turn their back on them. Everyone had turned their backs on them and they come in probably angry and not even wanting to talk with people. It's almost very, very standoffish when a client comes in and we don't judge anyone for that. I totally understand if someone turned their back on me one too many times and I don't want to open up to someone. We kind of build a certain level of relationship, understand this client, get to understand them little by little. They slowly open up to you. And you start off that relationship with them with, let's go for a walk. Would you like to go to the park? Yeah, it's kind of sunny outside. Let's go for a walk. You go for a walk and they start talking to you. You hear their stories and you're drawn to listen to them more and see what best you can do. As I said, like every client has a care plan. We update their care plan based on the experiences you have with this client. So maybe this client had spoken to you that, I've tried to stop using drugs, but I found it very difficult because, people in my family just don't even like me. It's not like if I stopped or if I don't stop, it's not like anything would happen. They would even be happy if I was better off out of it. So hearing things like that from someone, you're like, yeah, if you do want to stop, I can I can help you. You just need to open up yourself to the idea that it's okay to not be okay. It's an awful lot of job being where you are, the experiences that you've had, and you're still standing. Let's start off bit by bit. We could put in a referral for a counselor to help them navigate through their own past experiences. And, past experience kind of projects what the person would perceive life as of now, and which, as I said, is not something to blame someone about. It's just a long, long, awful life that they might have had, and they just need someone to give them a clearer future. With the counselor in, we also have the guys from the client development group, which is also another service in Simon. They come in with different things, which are fun activities for clients, like group activities. They start off with maybe computer literacy today, cooking class, which it's always fun with the clients. We take them to the kitchen and we maybe bake cake or we make an overnight porridge or something like that. And, bits by bits, you kind of form that level of attachment with this person, or this person is now confident enough to have that conversation with you. You say, okay, you do want to get off drugs, so we can put in a referral for you to go into treatment, which is also one of the best things that I'd say one of the best things the clients can tell me. Yeah, I want to go into treatment. I'm willing to give this a try. It's okay if it doesn't work. It's okay if you fall on your back, but knowing that you have come to that realization that, yeah, I might as well. Let's see what this is about. And we assist them to do that. We put in the referral for them and they go into treatment. It's a pat on the back when we have clients that went into treatment, are doing well, coming back to volunteer for us. It's such an amazing thing.
Incredible.
It is.
So you see real turnaround.
Yeah.
They
The
come back to
system,
volunteer.
yeah, the system works.
Wow, well, that's extraordinary.
It is because, as I said, it's just a lot of things for these people. And that one person that gives them hope, they cling on to that hope. It's more like, yes.
And you can be that person.
Yeah. Imagine being
Do
the
you
person.
feel like that person?
I try to be.
Mm-hmm.
I try to be, and not in a very, very weird way. I try to be because it's okay if it's me. I look at myself as, I might sound Christian like now, but I look at myself as a vessel. It's okay if I am that person that wants to put in the work to make the change that a certain group of people would need. You can start small. Charity begins at home, they say.
Mm-hmm.
Start off small. Start off from as little as helping someone on the street with a fiver. Start off with saying, oh yeah, if you need a bus pass, yeah, sure, I could tap a bus pass for you. Or you're thirsty, I could grab you a bottle of water. It's just a little thing that counts. It mustn't be a whole large scheme of donating thousands of euros, but then like it works, it helps. That little bits of information, that little bit of help, it does assist in many ways. And if it is me, then it's fine.
Great.
And I'm not painting myself the saint or anything, but I want to know that I have lived a life that I made a certain level of positive impact on people.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
And so when clients open up to you, what are the kinds of commonalities in their backstories? Would it be stories of trauma, abandonment, neglect? Without putting words in your mouth, what are the kinds of backgrounds that you hear about for your clients?
Most times it's a lot because as much as you mentioned a couple and as much as I'd like to single them out, sometimes it could be the whole bunch on one
Altogether.
person.
Okay.
It could be trauma. The person might have had an abusive household and maybe turned to drug at a very early age. And then they got neglected by their family. And maybe they were working and they couldn't keep up with working and using at the same time. So they lost their job, they lost a lot of money, and everything. It boils down to every single thing. Understanding that whatsoever level of PTSD that this person might have had, you would never fix it. You would never be able to understand it. You can only listen. Understanding that is like a significant thing that often comes up with most of our clients. We try as much as possible to be as compassionate and not judgmental as possible because you'd hear the most saddest story from people. I wish I could start saying one, but it's awful. People often look down on people. People speak down on people. I think one thing that, and I'll just recircle back to myself, one thing that I think or I often feel is something that I'm reminded of is I'm a person of color. and that always would, it will never change. I didn't choose to be a person of color. I'm just a person of color. And people would sometimes people say very awful things to myself, and it's sad. It's scary to know that people just hate you because you're just not their skin type. And bearing that in mind is enough for someone to want to do something, maybe choose to do something that would be drastic, maybe use drug to numb the feeling, or maybe just turn to something that would make them go on a wrong path. And as I said, like, you don't choose these things. The world has been designed to maybe look at some certain people in some certain way, which is understandable. We only can be kind to one another. So these traumas, this hurts, this level of, would I say, this level of problems that these people are often facing, it doesn't end. We just always have to remind ourselves a simple hello could save someone. A simple smile to someone on the street is very important.
Mm.
Just be kind.
And kindness works,
It
from what you're telling
does.
me.
It really does.
I think it's really interesting when you talk about prejudice,
Yeah.
the kind of prejudice you have faced as a person of colour, and the kind of prejudice that the clients face as well. So you have first-hand knowledge almost of the stigma that a particular cohort of people face in their lives. What do the clients say about the stigma that they've faced and the bias that society has against them?
I think they often refer to people as, I don't want to use very awful terms, but they do not appreciate the way people look on them. You know, yes, it's fine. The person just has one set of tracksuit that they have on, but doesn't still mean that you would make them seem like they're dirt. It's it doesn't make any sense. And this plays to not just the people on the street, people that are in treatment. Imagine thinking that, I'm actually doing this, I'm doing well, I'm doing a lot better. Maybe I used to have a series of cans and now I'm just sticking to one can. I'm changing bits by bits, and someone is like, look at you, you're drunk.
Mm.
That just sets them back. Like, no matter what, I'd never be good enough for these people. And that stigma,
Yeah.
it's embedded in people. It's very, very easy to dust it off and be like, yeah, it's fine, it's fine. But if people repeat those type of sentences, or repeat those type of terms, call you things that don't make any sense for you to be referred to as, it's hurts deep down,
Mm-hmm.
and it builds off with people. Like, it's fine, I'm going to do it regardless. Yeah, sure. I'm good for nothing. I mean, this person has said that. That person has said that. So probably good for nothing.
So you might have a person walking along the street who sees the guy in the tracksuit holding the can, but doesn't know that that person is actually trying really, really hard, that they may have cut down on their intake of alcohol. They may be actively in withdrawal, from
Yeah.
a substance, or, facing a daily battle with their mental health.
Yeah.
And so many of us just write off that person.
Yeah.
I think your perspective is really, really interesting to share there, and really, really important. Um, in your work over the past year, are there some memories that you have that you kind of hold dear, that are special to you? It might have been a client who returned as a volunteer or something of that nature. Are there one or two moments that have stayed with you?
Okay, I'd say one fun moment and one client involved moment. So it was Easter last year, and we got boxes of Easter eggs donated to the service. And during the morning time, after the handovers, the clients come for their medication. So every client was greeted with an Easter egg. They were so happy. It was my first Easter with the clients in Simon, and the happiness that, in short, that's what I say exuded that whole day was just it was so memorable for me. I was really excited. I looked forward to Easter that week. I think I just kept on telling myself, it's almost Easter. We're going to do this. The eggs are coming. The clients will like it. And they really did. They thanked us and they all had a good day. We had a couple of donations during the Easter. So, those times I hold them very dear because they're laughing, they're happy. They know that someone out there is telling them, "Happy Easter." Like, enjoy yourself. It's okay if you don't have money in that sense. It's okay. Someone is doing it for you. And it was very, very happy moment. And another time, which I said I was going to mention, was a client of ours that had been in Step Up, moved on to detox, went to Ellen Hall, went to treatment. He's doing so good. He has a job now. He has an apartment, and I think I saw him the other day, and he was looking so good. And I'm like, oh my God, hi.
Remember me?
Yeah. Those moments I cherish so much
Yeah,
because I'm like, we're not doing a bad job.
definitely not. Doing a great job.
We're not doing a bad job. Like, that's good.
Yeah, your face just lit up.
I
when, you,
know.
when you told me about that client,
I
it was like
know.
zing.
I know. Like, I really hold those moments to my
Yeah,
heart. I
yeah,
really
definitely
do.
keep you going in your work, wouldn't
Yeah,
it?
it does.
That's incredible. I just have a few final questions. How can the people listening today help?
Okay. That is a very, very huge
It is.
question.
Give it a go.
So, help comes in different forms. I had mentioned all through helping people on the streets, even, and I had mentioned being kind to people. I think that should be the first angle of help, quote unquote, for people. Kindness is the easiest thing you can give to anybody, anywhere. Being kind doesn't mean that you're going to climb one mountain just to prove a certain level of kindness. You could just be kind to people on the streets. Say hello. How are you doing? How's your day? Did you have a good day? Good morning. Those little bits are good. And, you know, we get donations sent into the services for clients. We do have clients that do not have clothes. We have clients that come in and need some maybe shower gel, deodorants, and all those bits. We ask for these things from the shops, and I know that most of them are being donated, and I really appreciate that. It's very, very handy for our clients because either they don't have any clothes at all and they just need something to put on. Those are very helpful. During the winter months, we got a couple of jackets for the clients, which was very, very good and very kind of someone. You know, People could help out as much as they can, donating, being kind to people on the streets, being nicer with the way they talk to people, listening to people. It's just the simplest hello, hi, that could save someone's life.
Okay.
I had a talk with a friend of mine, and she was like, "You wouldn't believe that a friend, someone that she randomly met on the street, and she just said, 'Hi, how are you?' And the person was like, 'Yeah, he just told me that he was about to do something very drastic.' And that conversation kind of opened him up to a different, 'Oh, yeah, I'm fine. I had a very rough day, but I'm fine now. Thanks for asking.' So it's a little hello that could really go a long way. And this donations, as much as we don't get maybe clients saying thank you. Like, they really appreciate them. They go a very, very long way. And it goes without help that you are playing a role in assisting someone somewhere. It mustn't be someone that you know personally. It mustn't be a family member or friend, but you're doing something good for someone, and that's very good.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Ezinne, is there one word that you would use to depict home?
Home is what you make it. Home is a place that you can take things off your shoulder. Home is where your loved ones are. Home is where you can be yourself the most. And a lot of people have the problems where they do not have a home, which is very, very understandable. I am 1,000 miles away from what I had referred to as home for over 20 years. And, understanding that you can make your home wherever you are. And I would not say that someone on the streets would say, okay, this place is my home, or that place is my home. They had a home, they lost it, but they want a home, you know? And if you can feel at peace somewhere, if you consider that to be your home, then it's good. But for me, home is where I can be the most myself as I can be, you know?
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Ezinne, we've covered so much. It's been a really interesting, enlightening conversation, and I'm sure the listeners will really benefit from hearing about your personal experience, and the work you're doing is incredibly valuable, and you are changing lives. And I hope you have more and more of those life-affirming experiences with your clients.
Yeah.
And keep up the good work. And thank you so very much for talking to us today.
Thank
it's
you
been a
very
real
much.
pleasure.
Thank you. It's my pleasure too. I'm happy to come back here anytime.
Great. We'll hold you to that.
Thank you for listening. To find out how you can help, visit www.dubsimon.ie.
Dublin Simon. Homeless, not less.